Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden News Channel. How's everybody doing this morning? I hope you're doing well. This morning's live stream is going to be about how to deal with scammers, and since the FBI won't. And I've been watching some videos on these hackers that get into these scammers' computers and just destroy it. I just don't understand why the FBI won't do it, but a lot of older generation and are getting scammed. And it's the holidays, and just something we all got to deal with. So that's what we're going to talk about, dealing with scammers today. Anyway, I finally got to the point where my channel can be monetized. So congratulations to me, right? That just means I'll start getting strikes. Anyway, I got to still do excuse me. I still got to do all the stuff with YouTube to set it up, but I'm made it to the point where I can be monetized. So, but YouTube's been making money off me for a while, but I guess I got to the point where I may be able to get some of it. So, anyway, I tell you what, I start getting money on YouTube. Like the T-shirts I got, I'm gonna make up. I've had made up for my old channel, Lone Wolf Prepper and stuff. I'm not gonna sell those T-shirts. Okay, I'm not gonna have to deal with the government with that. So what I may do is set up a super chat deal, and if you send the super chat for the amount of the T-shirt, then I can send it off, because my T-shirt's a little bit higher quality material. I got the expensive one and stuff. They're like $27-$28 a piece. But anyway, we'll set it up a way where I don't have to sit there and pay all the sales and deal with shipping. And I still have to ship them out. But anyway, try to do it without having the government be able to take more of the piece of the pie than they have to. But thank you, everybody, for getting me to the point where I can be monetized. And anyway, this is a business. You work hard at it. People are on YouTube for years to get monetized. Not like something you put out a couple videos and you're monetized. Doesn't work that way. So anyway, that's it's just one more milestone on YouTube that I've accomplished. Okay, not that I'm gonna ever make any money on this platform, but I made it to that platform. Hello, friend. I must confess that I just woke up, and a cowboy, I needed some Jack materials. Thank you. You hit hard. Well, it's just part of my nature. I grew up a tough life. Went in the Marine Corps, lived a tough life, and like I say, I try to say it on my channel, so you remember me in a month. You remember me in a year. All right? Get into your head. Like in the Marine Corps, that got into my head. So we got a lot of terrible shit going down, but let's not talk about that. Let's get on the scamming thing, okay? I've been watching videos of hackers that get into these scammer systems and just destroy these scammer computers. They take over their camera. They're watching video of them and stuff. And I'm still wondering why the FBI doesn't have this capability. Many times a day, I'll say at least 4 or 5 times a day, I get some stupid message saying that your Apple account was charged this, that, and the other thing. I don't even have that stuff. I don't have none of that stuff. I don't have PayPal. I don't even know what half these accounts are, right? But, you get all these scams. I never press on them and stuff. I know they're a joke. I would like to press on them and give them a hard time, but knowing if I did that, they'd sit there and get into my phone. I live a very simple life, and, you can't tempt me with money, drugs, or sex. So I can't be controlled. I'm pretty happy with the way I live, and I live a very simple life. I have just a simple bank account in the local town where all the ladies in the bank know me, a town that's got like 600 people and stuff. I ain't got to worry about this shit. They know my spending habits, and they protect us. But anyway, all these scammers going on. how can the FBI not follow this? Isn't there one FBI agent that works with this stuff that ever gets one of those fake text messages? Ever? Those scammer text messages, the FBI never gets them. These people who know who the FBI agents are, so they don't send them those. Anybody believe that? Anybody believe that a law enforcement official that deals with scamming isn't getting scam messages and however they're going to send you how they want to set you up? This is a bunch of crap. I think they get, a lot of this scamming is overseas. If you were a scammer in the United States, you would have been caught. But these hackers, they sit there and they go on these, people are getting scammed and they say, hey, guess what? Somebody's on your phone right now, right? They knock on the lady's door. Hey, somebody's on your phone right now, right? They're trying to sit there and get you to move your bank account from here to there, right? The lady's like, oh my God, how do you know all this? Believe me, I know who they are, and they go in there and they've hacked the shit out of this scammer, save that lady, okay? Right there videotaping all that. I mean, they took the scammer's camera over on his computer where you're sitting there watching him and they're telling, hey, we're watching you right now. You don't even have a shirt on. The guy's like, ah! And then they start going through and telling him what all his passwords and stuff and where he lives. And a lot of this stuff is from India. Now, if these, garage hackers can do this stuff, I mean, where the hell is the FBI? But then again, they believe in the miracle bullet theory with JFK. And, all these crooks acted alone and stuff. FBI can't find shit. They don't protect us. I still think they're part of it. The only thing the FBI is good at is the Federal Bureau of Intimidation. They intimidate law-abiding American citizens. Shoot him down in the snow like they did with Lavoy Finnegan, just because he was deciding to stand up to the government. Everybody remember that? When Lavoy Finnegan got checked down there in the snow in Oregon? Yep. These people are beyond control, okay? But anyway, this is how smart all these really smart people are. I'm sick of getting the scammers. I'm sick. I'm going to say they can't scam me, but I know if they send 100 of these fake shit out, they will get somebody. They'll get money from somebody. I mean, when they want them to transfer their whole bank accounts over to protect their bank account. I mean, you got scammers that sit there and call and say they're law enforcement and stuff. And law enforcement can't seem to stop that. I mean, let me see. If you send a message out, it's got to use some type of service, right? Somebody's got to pay the bill for that service. Follow the money. But they can't do that. They can't shut these accounts down. Really, FBI? But with the FBI and YouTube's help, they can shut down American social media accounts, no problem. Touch above button, you're gone. But they can't seem to do that to scammers. No. One thing about it, though, when scamming's going to go away? When we're not going to have to deal with scammers in this country? When the dollar bill's worthless. When nobody in the world wants to accept the dollar bill, the scammers are going to go away, at least from this country. Like I say, I don't think Zimbabwe deals with scammers. Anybody want to hidden truth? What religion is right, Christianity or Islam? What's the right religion? The religion that works for you, that makes you become a better moral person, and helps out your community and your fellow citizen. Whatever religion that works for you. Because remember, religions are all taken over, just like every organization that gets too big. It's taken over by the evil ones, okay? Just like the Catholic Church, just like the Jews, just like the Muslims, okay? Do you think the average Muslim who lives in the United States wants to chop my head off? I don't think so. The radical ones do. But the average guy who goes to work like me every day, sits there, loves his wife and loves his family, and does whatever he can to do his manly duty to support his family, you know, whatever religion works for you. But if your religion is telling you to kill people, then you might want to rethink that one. Religion, they say religion was created to keep people with a moral standing to have a society. You know what I'm saying? Religion helped create society because people start being good to each other and stuff like that. Boy, they're trying to get rid of religion in this country, and people hate each other. And I can't believe there's any correlation. But like I say, whatever works for you. Okay? I was brought up Lutheran. So that makes me a Missouri Senate Lutheran, not Wisconsin Senate. But, confirmed and that stuff. But as you get older, your views on religion mature. I'm still a Christian. I still believe in Jesus. I still work for God. But, organized religion, like I say, when you got priests that are pushing, you need to get the vaccine and wear a mask. I don't have time for that damn church. Hit and choose. Oh, yeah, okay. But that's my view on religion. Whatever works for you. No religion is correct, honey. No religion is right. Anything that tells you there is a supreme being and cares about humans, including you as an individual runt. Anything that tells you that there's a supreme being that cares about humans, including you as an individual. Well, I believe in God. Okay. Sorry. I've seen the gates of heaven. I've seen the lights of heaven. I wasn't allowed in. So, whatever. Okay. Seeing's believing. So, interesting time in my life, I'll just say that. But anyway, had a purpose to serve, I was told. So I wonder what that purpose is. Social media, whatever, But I've lived 5 lifetimes, okay? And I know I'm not going to live a lifetime, another 40 or 50 years of living on hell on earth, okay? Ain't going to happen. Anyway, getting back to these scammers. Religion is scammers. Religion is a taboo subject on social media. Why should it be? It's just another way, I believe one way, you believe another way. Does it make you a good person? If you're a Democrat, does it make what you believe as a Democrat make you a good person? Okay, where you don't impede on other people's rights or the way other people want to live their lives? Or a Republican? Okay, just another way they can sit there and get us fighting with each other. All right, that's all they seem to want to do, is to divide us. Anyway, then we can't settle real problems. I mean, if we were divided as much and as Americans, we're all united and pissed off at scammers, and we sat there and forced the FBI to sit there and do their damn job, we wouldn't be dealing with this shit. All I know is I don't understand. Scam, 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 all the time. I mean, how much money does Americans have where, I had a friend, he passed away. And he was starting to get scammed by these people we figured were in the Middle East somewhere. And all of us, his friends were telling him, you are getting scammed. He was sending them thousands of dollars because they were promising him some souped up hyper Mercedes-Benz or something sports car, some crazy crap. Okay. And they took him for a lot of money. Even with his friends screaming at him. They're bullshit because they're like, we just need a few more $1,000 and we'll get you that. Anytime you got to pay to get something for free, I mean, come on. And this is another reason why Americans can be scammed so easy. For one thing, our lives are financial lives of a lot of people are too complicated. They got all these accounts open. All right, a simple man like me has got one simple bank account in a small town. I don't have to worry about such shit. But all you people that got all these massive accounts, you know, it's just a bad thing. I guess if I have to sit there and start taking super chats to pay for shirts so I can send shirts out, I'll have to deal with something like that. But it's still going to be done in a simple way. These messages. I mean, like I say, I get 4 or 5 of them a day. Your so-and-so account was charged in this state, and it looked like a fraud. I don't even have that. I mean, I look at a lot. What's up with Merry Christmas? My dad and grandparents passed away this Christmas, and it will be hard for me. Yeah, losing loved ones in the holidays is hard. But remember, they'll be looking down at you, okay? And they want you to celebrate the holidays. You can miss them with a smile on your face. Holidays, I mean, this is one thing people remember the good times. We all deal with grief. But remember the good times. When you're thinking now in the jail, thoughts about the holidays, Anyway, memories will keep them alive. And you don't want to spend the holidays depressed, because they wouldn't want you to spend them that depressed. But I realize grief, I can't wait for this year to get over. I'll just say that. Anyway, all us Americans have to deal with these scammers. Like I say, and these hackers. Like I say, I love watching these hackers just destroy these scammers. I mean, right out to what apartment they live in. Say, if there were Americans doing that in America, and you weren't willing to sit there and play the game, they'd get you. So, and that's something with the holidays, just something more we got to watch out for. More we got to protect ourselves for. So, anyway, welcome to having, the rich people. They spend more money trying to protect their money they're making than they actually spend time making money. To sit there and spend your life, to sit there and try to get that green piece of paper, I'll never understand. I'd rather find happiness, and then the money comes. And then the money comes and you realize why you were happier before you had the money. When you succeed, everybody else around you thinks that, they're supposed to succeed too. You owe them something. Anyway, I just have a hard time with money. That's why I can't be scammed. That's why I looked at these people and be like, boy, if you actually knew my life, you wouldn't even be trying to get a hold of me like this. But anyway, where's the FBI? Where's the FBI to ring these people up and say, hey, we got all these scammers stopped? I still don't understand how you can't follow the trail when the trail is on your phone. That's where it starts. How can they not track in the electronic world where all these people are at? They can tell everything about you. That phone you got? Anyway, and then you got these people that are doing this 12 hours a day. It's not like they're, I'm just on the computer for 5 quick minutes and stuff, and bam, I'm off. These people are nonstop on it. They always got that electronic, that digital signature going. And these people can't find it? Ron Lother. Hi, how's it going? Appreciate everybody being here. Say, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification. Help this channel grow. Get the word out. Usually I'm a little bit more political in the morning. War with Venezuela. That's one thing, this Venezuela thing, right? Trump sits there and says that the airspace around there needs to be closed for 3 months for military exercises. Really? So we're going to invade, close a sovereign nation's airspace without a declaration of war and tell them that we're going to run military training exercises over your airspace, and you can't do nothing about it. Hey, Russia and China, are you listening to this? Maybe you should do that to U.S. airspace. Close it down for 3 months, demand it, so you can run military exercises over the United States. I wonder how many citizens would be for that. This Venezuela thing, I tell you what, we get into it, this is going to be a hornet's nest that will end the military power that we have in the world. Venezuela will be the straw that will break the camel's back. Okay? And then remember, it won't be thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away. And then we're actually going to start a war with a country, like if they bond with Mexico, and just say that a few South American countries in Central America and Mexico form an alliance. Boy, that means we got troops on our border. Foreign troops that we want to go to war with. The United States has no idea the Canada worms are opening up with this. But don't worry. Trump is a peace president. I'm sure he'll sit there and finally get the way. The only reason we haven't started war with Venezuela yet is because the American public isn't behind it. They haven't been able to sell the American public on it yet. They don't have Americans frothing at the mouth for a war with Venezuela. That's why we're not at war with Venezuela. Okay? What can of worms are they going to open up? Well, you know what? When you have troops coming down your foreign troops coming down your street, then you'll understand what can of worms was opened up. We got our military spread out all over the frickin' ass globe. We have really no way to defend in our homeland against an organized, well-motivated army, especially if it just decides to come across the border. Yeah, we got guns behind every blade of grass. But I want everybody to know now with infrared and drones and all that stuff, and AI and stuff, and they're going to have Russian and Chinese material. You can be seen from 100 miles behind that blade of grass. And if we got war coming up from the south, coming down from the north, and coming down from the north, and on the west coast and east coast, China on the north and the west coast, the southern flank taken care of by Central and South America, and then you got the Russians on the east coast. It's going to happen one day, people. And Venezuela will bring us to that. All right? But anyway, hey, guess what? As long as we're in the gates of Rome right now, we can party out. We're good to go. The barbarians haven't broke through the walls yet. If you are a student of history, it's unbelievable how much we are following the path of Rome. All these wars we can't afford. We can't afford it. We can't afford a war. We can't afford the ones that supposedly we're not in, but we're paying for. Trump says we're no longer attached financially to Ukraine. If we are not supporting Ukraine in any way, if you sit there, well, we're not supporting, we're just selling our weapons to Europe, to NATO, European partners, and they're selling them to them. Oh, so you're not, financially still getting money for the weapons. It's just Europe paying for them. And then Ukraine is it's a crock of shit. Ukraine using our money to pay Europe for their weapons. God, I wonder what, well, thank you for calling me delusional, sir. I sat there and said, after I got out of the Marine Corps in 1994 and I dealt with terrorism and stuff, and I sat there and told everybody they're going to get us, they're going to get us, they're going to get us. And I was told for 7 years I was crazy, didn't know what the hell I was talking about, So everybody that was surprised with 9/11, I knew it 7 years beforehand. So let's say I'm telling you 7 years from now. 7 years from now is 2032. It's not even going to take that long. And just remember, me being delusional, remember that as your last thought as they're coming down your streets. In 1994, you didn't deal with terrorism. Oh, in the Marine Corps from 1986, whatever. I'm not going to go into it again. Yes, I did deal with terrorism. But see, the thing is, I dealt with these guys as daddies and their grandpapas. Okay? The real killers. These guys are nothing but a bunch of wannabe fucking gangsters. Anyway, and I'm sure, Lynn Smith, you actually know what I did, right? Say, go on my post, fool. All you got to do is go to my channel. All these people make these stupid ass comments on my channel without even going check my content. All right? So, anyway, but it doesn't matter. See, I can handle myself since what I dealt with overseas is over here now in our country. I can deal with it. I've dealt with it. You have fun. Have fun. Anyway. He has horses, carpet on the wall. Yeah, I also have horses for real. See, that's where I'm going to get out. See, I'm not going to have to deal with terrorism like in the crap you guys are going to deal with in the streets, okay? Because I will next year. I'm going to get this set up like that someplace off the beaten path. You go riding out in the mountains where people don't go. I mean, the one thing when you're riding out there and you see the animals where they don't really see people at all, and they don't even see you on that horse. They see the horse. Or until you make some type of movement that differentiates you from the horse, then they notice you, but they smell the horse and stuff first. That's why it's so easy to hunt off a horse, because you get so close. So anyway, but I'm not going to deal with this crap. I mean, we got a world of hurt coming, people. And the thing about if China were to attack us, I mean, it's probably at least 75 million people in this country, 25% that would help them out, be their allies. They would assist them in the takeover. I mean, can you imagine the Chinese invading, right? And we sit there and we send our troops to the front line. And behind our front line, we got a bunch of Chinese sympathizers that are acting as partisans for the Chinese, hampering our, getting stuff to the front and stuff. Can you imagine that? Our enemies having partisans in this country that are American citizens? All for it so they can sit there and live their convenient, easy life. Tell me one country in the G7 that is doing well. But like I say, watch my content. I made a short once. I said, anyway, none of them. We're the cleanest dirty shirt in a hamper. And the reason it's easier to launder the dollar than it is to clean it up. Like I've already made a video. There's not enough money in the world anymore. We got more debt than we got the wealth in the rest of the world. The whole world is a one giant freaking bubble. Okay, and the only reason the U.S. hasn't become a third world country yet is because we can keep printing money because we're the world reserve currency. There's so many bad things that are going to come down the pike because people don't understand how the world really works. They need to travel the world instead of maybe 100 miles from their home every day to see how the world really works. I just had a call coming in. Anyway, yeah, the world, we're all in debt. The whole world's in debt. Okay, and we just keep going deeper in debt. Well, we're never, ever going to come out of it. The whole world's never going to come out of it. This is why I hate money. If you can sit there and get somebody to exchange you something for that's going to be worth something in 20 years for that worthless piece of paper in your hand, take the trade. If you can learn a skill that you're going to need for the rest of your life, and you found somebody, even if they're going to charge you for it, especially if they don't charge for it, learn the skill. When everything goes crazy, the people with the skills are going to have all the gold. Oh, that's one thing I want to say. Gold's almost $4,300 an ounce again. $4,300 an ounce. God, I mean, come on, people. The signs are everywhere, just screaming at everybody. Hey, we got an avalanche coming, and it's going to take out everybody, especially developing countries that use the dollar. They invested in the dollar to develop their countries. Those countries are going to get hit the hardest. You know, like India. Oh, yeah. You know, maybe the scammers will sit there and go away because they won't be able to pay their electric bill to run their computers. See, I just don't understand this scamming shit. I'm so tired of it. So tired of it. Like I say, I don't get hooked. I'm just tired of getting 4 or 5 messages a day from fucking scammers. No FBI agents get one, though, where they could trace it and find out where it's going. You know, sit there and you file, if you were to get scammed, and that's another reason people get scammed in America, because Americans are greedy. Flat out. They chase the dollar bill. That's all that matters to them in life now, is getting more of those green pieces of paper. And they can be led like a damn, with the carrot in front of their face. You know, I had somebody on my live stream last one say, oh, I'll donate $20 if you get this question right. You're going to wave a worthless green piece of fucking paper in my face and expect me to jump? Worthless piece of paper. What's it buy you? Convenience in this world. What's convenience lead to? Oh, I don't know. Going to the doctor all the time by the time you're 40. Surgeries in your 50s. You know, when you're 60, you look like you're 80. Conveniences. Sorry. I still use a push lawnmower. I still use a maul to split my wood. I still use a scoop shovel to scoop my snow. Okay? I don't have a problem doing labor and sweating. So, you know, but money's a necessary evil in today's world. But build up on your skills. Because when money is actually worthless and people say, well, we'll go to gold and silver. Gold and silver only work, just like any other currency only works when other people have that currency too. So if you're in a group of 10 people that are 1,000 people and 10 people have gold and silver and the rest of them don't, guess what? You basically got one person that's got all the money, and it doesn't work then now, does it? You know, we all had that dream when we were growing up. Oh my God, I wish I had all the money in the world. You know how stupid that is? But we still got adults that think that way. And the problem we're having is the little guys like us are running out of gifts to give these rich people. So they sit there and increase our wages. But, you know, like I say, if they made everybody a millionaire overnight, prices in Walmart would go up, what, 100-fold? You'd be paying $25 for a loaf of bread? You don't think that would happen? I know that happens. I always tell the story about in the military when we get our 3% raise every year, right? About 3%. And then on January 2nd, you went into PX and all the prices went up 3 or 4%. I guess I really didn't get a raise. Now, did I? See, what do they charge for product? They charge what the people can pay, not what the people are able to pay, not for what the cost of making it or nothing. It's what the people are willing to pay for it. All right? That's why you get some ungodly stuff that's cheap as hell to make, that they're making tens of thousands of percent profit on. And Americans, you got to admit it, we buy a lot of stupid shit to entertain ourselves. I got my horses. I got the outside. I stay busy. What do I watch for entertainment? I watch TV shows from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. All right? None of this new stuff. I don't have subscriptions to these movie channels and stuff like that. If I want to watch regular TV, which I'd never do because that's retarded shit and it's, 75% commercials now. But all I got to do is put up a digital antenna and get TV like that. If I want to sit there and stick some money in the TV, but not like that's what I sit there and do all day. I got work to do. I got YouTube. I guess being on social media takes creating content for social media takes up a lot of time too. This is a job. Can't be declared a nation if the people can't afford health care. Well, why can't we afford health care? Now think about when I was a kid. The doctors didn't have their offices, and we survived. I'm still alive, so the healthcare must have worked. But the doctors, we had 3 doctors in our town. We had a town of a little over 2,000 people. And each doctor had their own office downtown. Okay? And if they had to go to the hospital, they didn't have an office there. They didn't have a clinic. The stuff was at the 3 local doctors at their offices downtown. I think one had a big house and had the office in his house, but his doctor's office in his house. But we'd go to the doctor and we'd get treated, and then before we left, you get prescription, which was only taking 7 to 10 days, not one pill for the rest of your life. And my mom wrote the nurse a check as we left. Bill paid. But I just had to keep, my mom just had to keep the doctor in business. It is his one nurse. But now we got the insurance companies that, hey, guess what? We're going to double everybody wonders why you pay so much in medical, because now you're keeping the insurance company in business too. Okay, and then the insurance companies, they get to decide what treatments you get. It's all a crock of shit, okay? I got the VA, and, the VA is starting to look like a better form of medical than the civilians any day. But then again, I haven't been to the doctor in over 20 years. I live a lifestyle where I ain't got to go to the doctor. Best medical you can get a gym membership. Start out slow. Build yourself up. And I don't. Oh, we walked around the gym 20 times today, and that's all you ever do. No, next time you walk around it 21 times. Okay? Always increasing it. You want to get rid of the freaking doctor in your life? Get healthy. But see, a doctor's never going to tell you, hey, maybe you should just get a gym membership so you're not coming to me all the time. You think a doctor's ever going to tell you that? Not on your life. Because, they'll sit there and complain that, oh, we got so many patients, but they don't care. More pills to give away, right? And then this medical, medical has changed so much since I was through the years. But all these, I remember going to the doctor in the the mid 90s, right? I wasn't in with the VA system yet, so but I had a good medical with my job, and I had a hernia I had to sit there and get fixed. And the doctor was talking, how long have you been mentally ill? That would have been when I started in the Marine Corps, sir. Yeah, that would have been back when I was start the Marine Corps. So anyway, when I was a kid, jobs gave medical insurance to employees. Yeah, they still do, but the thing is, the medical has changed. This doctor, like I say, I went to the doctor to get a hernia fixed, and he's telling me how this was in the mid-90s, and he was telling me he was an old school doctor, where how pissed off he was getting because he had these drug manufacturing companies all the time hounding him to sit there and give out this free sample and that free sample. He said they were worse. They were the worst drug pushers he ever dealt with. These were the pharmaceutical companies, and this was 30 years ago. So you had an old school doctor that saw the change, and he didn't like it. He saw the takeover. He's talking to me about everything, how the medical was going to change through the years. And that's what he said, you need to stay healthy. You need to stay healthy so you ain't got to come here. And a doctor who actually gave me advice to sit there, hey, the shit's going to get bad. You don't want to have no part of it. It's all going to be about control. It's not going to be about health care. It's going to be about control and getting your money. He goes, stay healthy. Do you think a doctor these days is ever going to tell you that? Anyway, yeah, we got just the best way to stay, not have to deal with the medical system is not have to go to the doctor. So get out there and do a little exercise. All right, doesn't take a lot, and believe me, you start getting to where you get that adrenaline rush, and you'll get that adrenaline addiction. I tell you what, no better feeling than getting that rush after working out. Anyway, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Help the channel grow. I appreciate it. Anyway, I'm happy everybody showed up this Wednesday already, isn't it? Can you believe this year's almost over? Woo! I may have to do a year in review. I did a year in review. That may take a week to sit there and do that show. That might be a long live stream. Yeah, I'll do a year in review and what we got to look forward to. That'll have to be a two-parter because the year in review, whew, that's going to be one long video. See if I can do that without yelling, huh? Turn into Alex Jones. Ah! Anyway, but I would assume that the next big story is the Venezuela. They want to attack it. But the best way the American people can prevent the attack is don't support it. If Trump don't have the support of the American people to go into Venezuela, it's just going to be a bunch of saber rattling, okay? And Maduro's still going to be in power. And you know what? He's talking about bombing other countries and stuff. Like I say, Venezuela will be the straw that breaks the camel's back if they pull the trigger on that. Because we are actually fighting with somebody on a landmass that is attached to our landmass. And the one that's just south of us, we're threatening to bomb them too. Not that I don't think, the drug cartels, the Mexican president, well, they have rights too. Thing is, the B-52s could go out and carpet bomb these cartels, all their fields and stuff and their headquarters and, just take them out. End of story. But like did you say, governments never fix problems because if they fix problems, they wouldn't have. That means they'd have to stop spending money on that. You notice every problem we have in this country, like dealing with education, just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And all they do is keep sticking more money at it, throw more money at it, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But if they fixed it, then they wouldn't have to throw no more money at it. See, they throw the money at it because they get control. Anyway, it's just crazy time. But don't worry, our dollar will be worth nothing soon. $4,300 gold again, almost. Okay. That's not a sign. Good sign. Just imagine if you had, money in your wallet, right? Say you had $1,000 in your wallet when gold was $1,000 an ounce, and now it's up to $4,000 an ounce. So basically, your money is only worth a quarter in your wallet what it was 2 years ago. And they say there's no inflation? That's 400%. Anyway, these are the times we live in, people. These are the times we live in. So, I'm going to do a show about a rehash of 2025. And, you can never predict the future. We can see what's coming in the future. We just don't know which path they're going to take us there, right? Anyway, it's going to be hell on earth. It's amazing that how come it seems like all the old inventions that were made before technology were to sit there and make people's lives better, more convenient stuff. And now technology seems to be used to control people, spy on people, try to influence people. I need to do a video too about these new AI toys. You're buying toys for your kids no matter what time of year. You need to be careful. It's not only bad enough that you got your refrigerators listening to you and shit, right? And downloading what you said and passing it on to a third party. But now the toys are doing it. It's going to make Chucky look like a joke. It's going to make the dolls far more dangerous than Chucky ever was. Living in a Twilight Zone horror movie, people, horror movie. And now our kids even have to deal with it. Nobody cares about your life. That's much. I live a simple life anyway. I appreciate it. Anyway, I'm not here to sit there and try to sit there and glorify my life. I'm here to sit there and try to warn people about what's coming. I'm pretty safe here. And, I'm just trying to warn the rest of everybody. And you don't want to listen, that's fine. There's a world of hurt coming down. And if you need foreign troops coming down your street before you realize it, well, so be it. You're hiding in your mama's basement anyway. Maybe they'll just pass you by. But I wish the American people would put an end to this. We could put an end to this so fast. But the first thing we got to do is bond together. We got to get rid of all this division because of your color, your political affiliation, your nationality. If you are, no matter where you came from, if you want to make America better, I'm not going to say make America great again, because America will never be great again. We need to sit there and revamp the whole thing. To make America great again, we got to get rid of the people that came up with that slogan on both sides. How are we supposed to make America great again when America is being run by a party, two wings of the same bird? They're nothing but criminals that steal from you, spend that money on what benefits them, and do everything they can to take your rights from you. Like I say, what party doesn't do that? Which party? When Americans finally have to feel the pain that our politicians put us in, They're going to be running scared. But the nice thing about today's world, there's nowhere to hide. You guys can run off to Antarctica if you want. We'll just cut the supplies off. Okay, there'll be nowhere to hide. But some of us, see what's going on. And some of us, there's the ones that are the awake, or the ones that don't know, the ones that don't want to know, and the ones that do know. And the ones that do know are prepping for what they know is coming. Anyway, some of us crystal balls, I guess, are a little clearer than the other ones. But you tell me, year for year, what year's gotten better since 9/11? What year's gotten better? What year were our rights were completely protected? Nothing's gotten better. It's just gotten worse. I mean, even in 2000, in 2000, well, let's go back to the 80s when I was in the Marine Corps, 80s and 90s. If Russia, even after it collapsed, would have been receiving missiles into Moscow that had been made in the United States, we'd have been getting nuked. But not in today's world. We're desensitized so much that the whole world's going to have to be on fire before a lot of people wake up and say, hey, what the hell just happened? I lost my YouTube. And be looking outside and have no clue why they lost it. It's hard to believe human beings are that stupid, but look around you. And I'm going to get out like, I got a few more months, about 4 months, and I can get out on the trails, out in the mountains on my horses, and I can go find my place. So far off the beaten path that nobody's going to mess with me. I'm going to get out while I still can, because it just doesn't seem like Americans want to stop any of this crap. Anyway, I got plenty of videos on that. So anyway, appreciate everybody being here this morning. I'm going to get out of here. I got stuff to do today, some YouTube-y stuff, make some videos and stuff. I'm going to show how I cut wood. Show you how I pay for my heat in the wintertime, which is a lot cheaper than the way the average person does. When all you got to do is depend on yourself to heat your house, it stays nice and warm all the time. Minnesota, when I was up there and had my house, paid my bill every month. I had a whole electric house, right? Paid my bill every month, always on time and stuff. But at times in the wintertime, and I had a furnace that was electric primary, and if it broke down or whatever, it had a fuel oil backup. But it seems like no matter if I pay my bill on time, during peak hours, they could shut off just my electric part of my furnace. Well, these people that were on assistance would sit there in these rent-free apartments, fucking heat turned all the way up, fucking windows open and shit. But my electric part of my stove would get turned off. Because I guess what? A person who works for a living, just like I say, I'm not living that life anymore. Where somebody has control over my frickin' furnace or my hot water heater. Okay. Is it brutal here in Minnesota during the winter? It can be. I'm not down here in Nebraska now, but I grew up in Minnesota and stuff, and I just moved back to Nebraska here 3 years ago. But yeah, we've had winters in it was like 96, 97 was a really blast bad winter. And then we started having all these winters where people were basically in shorts around Christmas time. And the stores were complaining, nobody shopped for Christmas because it don't feel like Christmas. And I remember we went like 7 years there with basically hard falls. I had a snowmobile. I used to be so pissed off. People go, well, drive through the snow. I said, I live in Minnesota. I shouldn't have to drive to snow. And then when I lived up there from 2018 to 2022, oh yeah, we got winters again. And, but just part of life. I thought winter was, when I lived up there, was the best season. I loved winter. snowmobiling, getting out there, of course, shoveling, whatever. But I enjoyed the winter. But if you hate winter, it probably ain't the place for you to go. You misread what I'm on, that I'm on Minnesota. It is, what part of you Minnesota from? I got my kids are up in the Brainerd Lakes area and stuff. So, but yeah, I remember, was it 2018 when I'm going to the gym in the spring, right? There's so much snow that the baseball teams were having to practice in the gymnasium and stuff. And the northern Twin Cities, yeah, I got some family in Twin Cities too. I love winter. Hail Santa, the Winter King. I tell you what, snowmobiling's fun. But now, they got, when up in the trails there in Minnesota, they got cops out on snowmobiles. Oh, yeah. Cops out on snowmobiles, lights the whole works. Because the speed limit's only 55. So when your snowmobile sits there and wants to do 150, you're only allowed to do 55. It's crazy time. But yeah, ice fishing. You haven't lived until you've been to an ice fish house town. You haven't lived till like eel pouting. They don't even have that eel pout festival up at Leech Lake anymore. But you haven't. I mean, they actually sat there and had stripper bars out on the ice. They sit there and drill holes in the ice, right? And then they drop these big telephone poles in the hole, freeze over, and that's how they'd sit there. The frame they'd use to sit there and build their little. You had streets and everything. It was crazy. But yeah, winter's fun. They're working on the ice castle now, are they? Yeah, I heard you guys have got some bad weather there in Minnesota. We've had kind of easy here. T-shirt weather right north. Shanty towns are great, except if you're going after walleye. I just, like I say, it's an experience. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate everybody being here, especially my Minnesota buddies. That's a beautiful state. It's just I can't handle the politics of it anymore. I feel like I'm in East Berlin. I was in East Berlin, and I'm not a good communist, so I had to get out. So anyway, that's that. Anyway, everybody have a great day. Enjoy your day, and make sure you're prepared for what next year has to bring to us. Anyway, this is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'm out of here.